There is no amount of trades in the universe that is worth a life. That is the truth that I believe in and stand behind. And if there's someone that you think could be experiencing this, like, share this episode. I'm going to put in some habits, some tips and tricks that maybe can help us manage it in the moment if we can, if we're still in a place where we can switch gears a little bit and pivot and adjust, and so that we are having a little bit more balance and protecting ourselves and our families from the loss that they would feel if things got worse. So I think there is a risk in trading to go down that rabbit hole, right? So with trading, right, the line is when passion and drive and grit and determination turns into a compulsion. That's different. Just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1 for starting your day with calm intention, 1 to stay centered while you trade, and 1 to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description. Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today. Hey guys, I'm Becky, host of Market Mamas, and this episode has been kind of brewing in me for quite some time, and I think it's just time to rip the Band-Aid off and go with it. But I do want to say at the start of this episode that I am going to talk about a lot of factors revolving around addiction and unhealthy boundaries and some loss with that. And so I'm not going to share like a ton of graphic details or personal details, but some of these themes are a little bit heavy. So take care of yourself while listening, and feel free to pause or come back to the episode when you're in the right headspace for it. Whatever you need, I am here for it. But I just want to talk about addiction and trading because it's very real, the correlation and the risk, because addiction is a dangerous state that can sometimes sneak up on a person and you think that it's not a factor, and sometimes it becomes a factor. And trading is something that actually has definitely addictive qualities, which we'll talk about too, why and how the risk is there and how that plays over into what we are doing. But I recently lost someone that I really love very much, who kind of went down a rabbit hole of addiction and, passed away far too soon related to some, complications stemming from that. And so there's real risk in engaging in behaviors that put us in a place that is not healthy and safe and protected and has, the resources that we need and the balance that we need. And I think that is a factor with traders, especially like high frequency and day traders. And so that is what I do every day. So, it's been on my mind. And so I do want to just talk about the lessons that we all can take away from the way that these two thoughts are intertwined sometimes, and the complications that could come in our life if we aren't, kind of paying attention to the risk with this. And so I want us all to just, ponder it for a moment and think about it and make sure that everyone is just being safe. Okay, so the reason why I definitely wanted to talk about this with you guys related to traders, because a lot of my audience is traders, that's what this podcast is about, trader psychology. Well, I think that it's well known and documented now that trading activates the same neurological loops as addiction in our brain. The neurochemistry behind what our brain is perceiving and acting upon and the impulses that's triggering are very similar to an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction or a gambling addiction. And the habits that we can get into, the behaviors that we can engage in, can sometimes reward the unhealthy behaviors, and our brain can crave more of that. And so what I'm talking about, like specifically neurologically, is the dopamine hits from the big wins, from engaging in risk and being rewarded or punished, or just having that risk on the line, having the conversations around trading. Those trigger a dopamine response in our body, and dopamine wants you to crave more of it. It's a wonderful experience, but it's something that the body seeks out. And when it recognizes that winning a trade can trigger that dopamine response, there is a craving associated with that after the fact. And so that is intermittently reinforced based on our trading situation, how often we can, what kind of a P&L and a risk to reward we engage in, and how successful we are. And so that can ramp up and sometimes really be a very active part of our body. And if you're in a drawdown, it can feel more elusive and you can hunt it even more. So that is definitely a factor with trading, that it triggers that neurological cascade in our body that is absolutely very similar to a high. And then there's also the point that we can get our identity roped up in who we are becoming. And so that fusion of, I am a successful trader who makes, green amount of money month over month, you can chase that as well. And so when we start to tie our identity, you tell too many people, you are hunting a certain outcome, that can make us crave it more. We need to validate what we have said or believe about ourselves. And so we have to chase the wins, because that's how we, make it real. That's how we are able to speak to it more clearly. That's how we can get, results in our account that we can post on whatever social media, if that is an avenue that you pursue and go down. And so then that also can feed the negative side of that, where there's some isolation when we have hard days. And so if you are craving that positive reinforcement of external validation for your winning trades, the flip side of that is dangerous, because if you have losing days, which are a very normal part of trading, that isolation can cause some secrecy, some shame, some regret, even revenge or over trading to fix it faster before anyone knows about it. And so that is a very dangerous flip side of wanting to share widely the big wins. Flip side of that is not accepting a small loss, because you just need that win so that you can be on the other side of things. And so that is a very dangerous place to have that sort of secrecy and isolation with our trading. And so I think it's tricky. It's a tricky side, because it can also often look like you're a very high functioning, highly successful person being a trader, having really green days, posting those green days, talking about them within your community, knowing that there are periods where you're really successful and you're chasing that dopamine, you're getting that positive feedback, your account is growing, you have skill as a trader. That feels great. And honestly, you can be really high functioning in that role. You can be an active member of a community. You can be doing your charting and back testing and even journaling and logging great trades and functioning with other parts of your life, showing up for your friends and family for a long period of time. You can be very high functioning as this kind of develops within you. But there's a line, and we're going to talk a little bit about that, about what that looks like and where it goes from just high functioning, but balanced and healthy, versus high functioning, but like really feeling a strong emotional neurochemical pull towards only trading. And so it doesn't, for a very long time, I think this doesn't look out of control at all with trading. I think that we can hold our face, right, our outward projection of what's going on strongly for a very long time with this. And the way that the trading industry has shifted, how you can use prop funding accounts versus real money. If you're losing, that can be, not as noticeable to a bank account for a long period of time, potentially. And so there's just a lot of sides to the fact that an addiction can grow for a trader, and it cannot be obvious to anyone or even yourself for quite some time, but then it can be building up and can sneak up on you. And so for me, I have felt, a draw to trading, and I have wanted, I fell in love with trading, right? I love trading. I love being a day trader. I really enjoy the communities that I'm a part of. I like talking about trading. I have a podcast about trading. I try to backtest as often as I can. I will often work in the evenings and the mornings. And so I know that there is a line that I have to really be vigilant about and be careful with, because I have felt that it can be consuming, and that I sometimes want to be consumed by it, right? I want to be encompassed all in trading. And I do think that there is a strong argument for the traders that are the most successful are the ones that do a ton of hours, right? They get that experience by having that relentless chart time. And so spending time on the weekends and in the evenings, studying your setups and understanding them better. And within my community, I mean, there is a lot of advice to get the chart time. If you're struggling with your setups and you're not dialing in your entries and exits as ideally as you'd want to, well, figure out why, hunt it, journal it, and practice it. That makes you a better trader. And I do believe that. And I have practiced that, and I have gotten better by more chart time. But I also have recognized the fact that I can start to have negative symptoms in myself when I push it too hard. I can start having difficulty with relationships and showing up to other parts of my life and like being grumpy, potentially having to do other things that I would rather be trading and in my office with. So it's a slippery slope, but I think that finding the balance of the amount of time you need to give to trading in order to continue to pursue being a great day trader or whatever kind of trader you are is a very real thing. And I would not in any way diminish that experience is what makes us very, very strong traders. I believe that wholeheartedly. But I think that there's a balance with that. And I have seen people and heard of people who really kind of get down the rabbit hole of that and starting to experience some complications in the other aspects of their life. And I think that's the starting of this. And then, the person that I lost to addiction, it was not a trading addiction. But I did witness, and I have seen in others, what an addiction path looks like. And it does look like you're slowly losing your relationships, and you are not giving the same that you are taking, and you are not meeting your physical needs. You're not taking care of your body and your mind and your spirit, and you're not making sure that you have a healthy, balanced life around you for when something could go wrong, such as a trading losing period or any other kind of life incident. And so I think that it's a very real thing that sliding into addiction and prioritizing one thing, such as trading, drugs, or alcohol, I think that puts you in a dangerous place for really losing grasp of a healthy life moving forward. And I think that I want to just put out a little PSA, public service announcement, that I recognize that there's that potential in trading, and that there's resources and things that we can do to kind of try and make sure we're catching ourselves and being careful, because there is no amount of trades in the universe that is worth a life. That's the truth for me. That is the truth that I believe in and stand behind. And I think that if this is something that you need to hear, you're still hearing this episode. And so stick with me. Let's talk it out. And if there's someone that you think could be experiencing this, share this episode. I'm going to put in some habits, some tips and tricks that maybe can help us manage it in the moment if we can, if we're still in a place where we can switch gears a little bit and pivot and adjust, and so that we are having a little bit more balance and protecting ourselves and our families from the loss that they would feel if things got worse. So anyways, I'm here for that. And that's what this episode is about. So I think there is a risk in trading to go down that rabbit hole, right? So with trading, right? The line is when passion and drive and grit and determination turns into a compulsion. That's different, right? So I think there's a difference between being really committed to your goal and your dreams and what you want to build and create for your life and how you want everything to compound over time, versus being consumed by the nitty gritty details and the day-to-day, hour-to-hour, minute-to-minute time that you are doing your charts. I think that there's a very difference of that. And to figure out the boundaries with that is going to be slightly different for everyone, but there's the core elements of that are really kind of cross over all types of trading and all types of people. And so I think that one good point that we need to remember is, or think about is, are you trading to manage your emotions, or are you trading to execute a strong trading plan? I think just saying that out loud, I can think of times that I have been in a situation where I am trading to feel better, to fix it, to get out of a hole, to make the money that I feel like I need to make for my week. And that is a very different experience of trading, because I have seen this setup. I have prepared for it. I understand this day. There's a great opportunity coming, and I'm going to use my appropriate leverage to capitalize on this because I am a professional day trader. Those are very different experiences, and those are different trading sessions where you're at your computer, you're spending your time, and you're executing and putting risk on the line, trading emotions versus trading a specific plan. So if you find that you are doing more of the trading emotionally versus trading a specific plan per your trading system, that is a sign that maybe you need to think about what's going on with you. I think that also, if you're feeling restless, irritable, crabby when you're not with the market, that's another concerning sign, because we have to be humans outside of when we're just traders. And so if you can have, even on a long trading day where you get to trade the whole day, maybe your family is away or you just have that time. So you get to have even a big chunk of trading time. When it's time to shut it down, when it's time to pivot, if you have dinner, if you have an evening activity that you need to go to, if something's going on and someone calls you for help or whatever it is, ideally we have a setup where we can switch gears and you can move into the next part of your life and then be fully present there, build your relationships, give and take with your people that you love, show up for hobbies, take care of your home or your property or whatever you have, do responsibilities, if it's garbage night, whatever needs to be done. If you have a family, if you have kids, for me, I know that if I'm really engrossed in my trading, and this is hardest for me when I'm in a drawdown and I'm trying to get back in alignment with it, I will try to have more chart time. I'll try to back test more and hunt more and fine tune my system and talk to my mentor and other traders more. And in that situation, I am getting more chart time. I am more emotional and I'm a little bit crabbier with my people. And that situation is not ideal because you're not fully enjoying the fact that there are other parts of your life that you should hopefully be able to fully focus on and be present with. That way our life feels a little bit more balanced. And this is something that I definitely try to be purposeful about every week to have time with my people and in the other things that are a part of my life. And when I'm doing those things, to try and shut off the charts, which is easier said than done sometimes, depending on, like I said, where I'm at in my trading journey personally. But when I am doing the best with that, I feel the best. I feel the strongest. I feel the healthiest and the most balanced. And then when it's time to go back to my trading, I recognize the fact that this is my trading time. So I can be all in. I can tune out the noise. I can close the door and like really focus on what I'm trying to do. And in that situation too, it's not so much of an emotional trading entrance. It's more of a, I'm here to see if there's something that fits within my system because this is my time. And so I find that I trade better in those situations too. When I'm dividing and conquering, and when it's trade time, and I'm focused on my system. Another thing that should kind of have your spidey senses go up that this might be a risk is if you're trying to hide your losses or keep secret the red days, because that is just a part of trading. Having losses, going through a period of drawdown like that. Trading is risk management. There is always going to be, you have to put risk on the table in order to profit. And so you have to be able to potentially lose money every single time you enter a trade, whether it's an account or if it's your personal money, whatever it is. Trading in the markets is a game of risk management, and you will have red days. And so ideally you need to be able to always honor your system and your stop loss and not feel shameful of having a red day, but instead be able to at least tell like your accountability partner or your mentor, maybe not necessarily a close partner that's not in the trading world, but keeping losses really only quiet and totally to yourself, or revenge trading in secret and not letting anyone know what is happening. That is a dangerous habit to engage in, because that can create a habit within you where you think it's okay. And some days you'll win doing that. And that kind of can really get you into the hormonal cascade of really being in an emotional situation and needing to be on the charts trading it and fixing it in order to feel okay, versus feeling a little bit not okay from a small stop out and walking away and finding stability elsewhere, not just in fixing it on the charts. And then another thing too is, even if you are doing okay trading wise, but you just are really almost kind of obsessive about the charts and you're hunting them all of the time, that is something to kind of make you think twice about, because you do want to make sure you're doing other rituals, even related to trading. So even like when you're not specifically hunting charts to trade, hunting trades, managing trades, being in an active trade all the time. But if instead you are making sure that you're journaling and you're processing and you're updating your notes about what you did well, what you want to adjust, how you want to approach moving forward, like little rituals around closing down your trading day and then opening it up with the most peace and readiness the next day, making sure those are still a part of your process is healthy, because that's saying, trade time is here. I'm going to wind down and shut it down and make notes and then move on and kind of pivot in your head. That's a really great practice to engage in. Same thing with ramping into it in the morning or whatever time zone you're in. But if you're cutting those things and just focusing on just getting right to the charts and entering and exiting, that is a riskier situation as well. And then, another part of all of this is, are you taking care of your body? Are you getting adequate sleep, exercise, movement, relationship time? If you are neglecting sleep and healthy exercise, preparing food versus just eating something quick out of a bag, engaging in real conversations with someone who's not a trader here and there at least, that will help keep you sane too, because your body needs to have those other parts of yourself met. You need to have adequate rest so your brain can fire on all cylinders, because when we're sleep deprived, there's like a danger because you can't actually, your nervous system just doesn't fire as rapidly. And so there's a risk of trading worse when you're sleeping less. But if you're really just fixated on the charts and you're trying to cram in more hours, you're going to start losing time for other things, physical activity, even just a walk if you're not an exerciser and something like that. It's really valuable for just pulling you out of your head and into your body and letting it rest and recover. If you are cutting those things out, neglecting them, that is a danger point where you could start to feel less healthy and then engage in poor habits, potentially like over caffeinating, which caffeine is a drug. I mean, I am certainly a caffeine ingester myself, but I do recognize the fact that if I push it too much, then I need it in order to feel normal the next day. If I'm drinking an extra cup of coffee every day because I'm just really tired and not sleeping as well, my body's going to crave that even more and more and more. And so, I think trying to have everything in balance and is really helpful. So, it all can snowball and you can get into an unhealthy state faster than we'd like to admit, right? And so I think if you ever even consider stopping trading, is one last thing I would like to say on this point of like, if you're like, maybe I should stop, maybe I need to back away. if that conversation causes like a panic in you, a fear and anxiety of I'm not doing that, there's no way, I can't stop, blah, blah, blah. If just considering taking a break stresses you out to the point where you're a hard no on taking a break, that's a warning sign that maybe you're coming closer to an addiction to trading versus a healthy professional approach to trading. I think it isn't about how many hours you trade. It's about whether or not you can stop when you need to, both intraday and big picture, so that you can make sure you're taking care of your body, your relationships, the other parts of your life, and not just being totally chart obsessed is an important thing to catch yourself on. These are all warning signs of like, maybe I am getting in a situation where I'm addicted to trading. Okay, so if the things I just talked about are kind of making you think about your own situation, your own journey, your own experience right now, where you're at with this process, I'm kind of glad that I sort of poked that bear and like made you think about it, because addiction doesn't always look like chaos, right? It's not always the pictures that you see in the media of just like totally unhealthy, falling on a shelf on the streets, like in a bad way. Sometimes it can actually be quite organized and successful and functioning, and you can look very ambitious and determined from an outside perspective, which can be what you are, but it also can be a cover for a long period of time. And secretly inside, you're very emotional, anxious, craving, hiding things. You know, there's a fine line that I think sometimes only we know, only we feel. Like, I think that this episode, if you're watching it, I think maybe it should make you think about, what is your truth? Who are you in your core? What is your experience with this situation that you're in right now as a trader? Is it pulling you too hard underneath and you are still having that good front out there? Are you showing the signs of the sleep deprivation and the stress and the nervous system overload and the emotional exhaustion? Is that creeping through the cracks yet? Or is it still being held down? But if you are feeling that deep inside and you're still holding it back so that no one knows how hard you're pushing yourself or what your experience truly is, you know, think about that kind of. I've had to think about that, and it's important thing to process of, am I taking care of myself? Is this really the best thing? Could I consider changing some things around in order to not get too far down into this dangerous situation? Because I'm feeling a lot that's too much extra. That's not a healthy kind of extra. Healthy extra, you know what I mean? So I think this is like a thought for you to really think about. You know, I can look really successful, ambitious, and strong right now, but is my inside reflecting that as well? It's just something to think about. You know, I think what I have learned the hard way is that the body does keep score for what we are going through, whether or not your market, your P&L, your trading equity curve does. Our bodies know what they're being put through. You know, the stress response is very real. And it will take its toll on your brain and your body and your organs and your relationships insidiously before you fully understand what is happening sometimes. And so your P&L could be a lagging indicator in that. And it could be that you are really straining your body hard for how hard you're pushing it. And you've got to figure out the balance with that in terms of, you know, what is that healthy push to get really good at this thing that is very hard, such as trading? And what is it when it's, you know, a little bit too much? Something to think about. For me, when I think about my trading, I think about the discipline that I want to trade with. I think about it as a protection, right? It's containing the energy that comes around trading, because the energy of trading is a lot. It's very motivating and appealing, and it draws me in. And I love locking in a sick green day. I enjoy the experience of that, and I want to have it every day if I can. But I know that it's not going to happen every day. And so I have to execute my trading system with discipline. And so that means I honor my position size. I always have a stop loss in place, and I respect the fact that I don't want to have these outsized blowout days. And so I'm going to not trade too heavy for my account size and situation, and then always respect the risk. And I'm going to not try and override my max losing rules for a day if I am in a situation where I am not seeing the market clearly. Those rules need to be non-negotiable for me as a trading system. I think that is the most powerful approach to being a long-term trader, is having those protective measures in place. And I think we all know that. But the spin to that is that you can also choose to have discipline in the way you're balancing your life, as well as with like your P&L and your trade execution numbers. And so that is saying, to be disciplined and operate at max ability, I want to make sure that I am getting rest, and that I am doing my journaling, and that I'm having some healthy body habits in my life, so that I keep myself at peak performance. Because I've said this in other episodes too, but trading really is like a peak performance sport. And so you want to be sharp and rested and focused and have a clear plan and have mentors that you consult and a plan for practicing so that when it is game day, when you're putting your money on the line, you are most ready to execute the plays that you understand thoroughly. And I think part of that being a peak performance athlete is taking care of your whole body so that your brain can be quick and sharp and remember your plan and remember how you want to execute it when the candles are printing pretty quick sometimes intraday. And so having that identity outside of the charts where you are a person who takes care of him or herself so that you can be at your best, that is the balance of that. That's the emotional side of risk management and of discipline, because we don't just trade our accounts haphazardly with no parameters at all to keep ourselves safe. Well, we shouldn't treat our lives that way either. We should have protective boundaries on our lives too, so that we are making sure that we are taking care of ourselves and so that we can show up as our best selves for the charts as well as just the whole of this life that we're living. Because I mean, the future is not promised. Like, we have this right now. And so I totally get the drive to be the best trader that we can be, because I have that too. But I also have people in my life that I love and that love me, and it's worth it to me to take care of all of it. And so sometimes it's hard to take care of all of it. It's hard to balance that where you know you need the chart time to be the best trader that you can be. But I know that I also need them to keep me level, to be able to have conversations that are not just stock market or podcast related, but that are about their lives. And so that they feel like they're getting some back from me too, and they value me. And so that has that strong relationship outside of just the market. And that helps me stay sane, because sometimes getting lost in that helps me be fresher when I come back to the market, because it sort of washes the slate clean. I get fully focused on this other part of my life. And when I come back to trading, it's like, okay, where are we at? What's going on? Top-down analysis. Let's get ready. And I actually find that that's really helpful for me for executing my system to the best of my abilities, by having that separation and that risk management on my whole life, by having periods where I'm taking care of both. And so it kind of just bridges it, to take care of not only the chart factors and the stop loss management, but also our life habits. Okay, so I love talking about what we can do in order to just be our best selves around any subject, basically making this conversation actionable for, doing trading to the best of my abilities. And I like the actionable parts of any conversation because it helps me too, to think about it and to think about what I want to make sure to mention in an episode when I'm talking about a certain subject with you guys or just in my group of friends, what we talk about and what makes us all more grounded traders too. And so I just thought we would talk about a few of those today too. So that way, if anything resonates with you or something that you haven't tried before that might help, let's just think about it. And so I don't know if you guys do this, have non-negotiable trading stop times every day. And now this can be variable day to day. Sometimes Monday, everyone's gone in your house for the entire day. Maybe that's a day where you can fully immerse yourself in trading and have active trading hours and then back testing hours or whatever else you do to shore up your system, writing out your trading rules or whatnot, marking levels on charts. So, but I think you having hard stop times is really helpful because it basically just cements the plan for the week, right? It's like essentially time blocking, but specifically related to your trading, where you say, I only can be wholly focused on my charts for me, it's like 5:30 in the morning until 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I get that perfect sacred time where I am all by myself. After that, there are interruptions that are just a part of my day based on my household's needs. And so knowing that that is my most focused time, everything else is distracted time. And so putting different limits on, I can't just trade all day because of XYZ. These days I have to take my kids to these lessons, whatever. So that day I'm off the charts by then. Having hard rules where you say, I just don't trade after that time because I'm doing something else. That can help you not have to think about it. It can basically say, I am a full-time serious professional trader, but there are days where the afternoon is just not trading. And having that as a part of your system can be really grounding because it just takes the guesswork and the pushing your boundaries kind of out of the opportunity in terms of your time schedule. And I really like that. And then another thing that I love is screen-free decompression rituals. So basically, do something that is not on the charts that brings your mind refreshment. And everyone's kind of different with that. I've found I have friends that are really great at meditation practices, which I love for them. I have tried that and I'm working on that. I need to be able to slow my mind down better. But for me, I love exercise, like lifting. I want to lift a little bit for 45 minutes every day if I can. Doesn't always happen. Or otherwise, yard work outside time. Those are two things that really just pull me out of my charts, help me focus on staying healthier and stronger for the longevity that I need in life. But then also I like taking care of my property and my gardens. I grow fruits and vegetables and flowers, and those activities for me will help me just clear the palette basically in my mind. And so that I am more fresh when I come back to my charts. And so I think whatever speaks to you, whatever you enjoy most, whatever your hobby is, that is easy, ideally free, because then there's a low barrier there. You can just like get out your house and go for a walk. And having that opportunity to refresh your mind is a really powerful technique for not being wholly addicted to the charts and needing to be on your screens all the time, but knowing that I really enjoy this activity. So I want to make sure to fit it in here or here on this day and at this time on this other day. That way I'm making sure that I'm meeting that part of my needs as well. And then I don't know if you guys all journal, but I think that when you do journal, I think it's recommended by literally every trading mentor I've ever seen or heard from, just because we can pull the data from that, and your trading system technically can get stronger because you'll learn your setups better, how to get in and out of them better when you journal your trades. But it would also encourage you to journal your emotional aspects of your trading. So, how are you behaving? How are you feeling? Is it hard for you to turn it off? Are you feeling really kind of obsessed with getting right back there? Or are you frustrated and you need to fix it, and tomorrow's going to have to be a good day, or else what the hell are you even doing with your life? Are you experiencing negative emotion carryover? Put that in your journal. And then if you can write it down, sometimes it will make it more real. And we could recognize that there's something there that really should be taken care of and addressed. And so having that sort of a nervous system, emotional check-in as part of your journaling practice will help you stay sane through the longevity of being a trader. If this is something that you want to do for decades, then this should be kind of a part of thinking about it all to make sure you're kind of meeting all of your needs. And then I think, I don't know how everyone feels about this, but having one person, doesn't have to be like your close personal partner or even your mentor, but somebody who knows a little bit about trading, to know your real numbers and know where you're at, can be a safeguard. So if you are someone who gets really triggered by a drawdown, by a couple red days in a row, and you are someone who's not quite got your emotions super rock solid, I would really encourage you to have someone that you can confide in and that you can say, I lost 10 grand today and I'm real pissed and I'm scared and I'm anxious and I want to just go in there and throw caution to the wind and put all the rest of my leverage on and, just take it out on the market. It doesn't make you a bad person or a bad trader. Like, that is an emotional response to a hard loss that could be how someone feels. And being able to say that to someone, just saying it can be a release. And then that person ideally will counter back with like, I'm really sorry. Like, I have been there, or I understand at a bare minimum. What are we doing? What's our plan? What do you need? Like, can we go for a walk? Can we go for a virtual walk? I'll be in your ear. You get out of your house, like if they don't live by you. But having someone to just say it out loud, that makes it less isolating, less shameful, and it will help break the trance a little bit sooner if you're in a situation that is dangerous, to just air it out a little bit and not get swallowed up by something like that. And then if you don't have someone, or if you're really in a way, if this episode is like very real for you and you are trying to figure out if you're addicted to trading, there's like very real resources for that in the world. There are trained psychologists and therapists, coaches that will speak to you specifically on what that could feel like and what you could do to get out of there. Because I am not a licensed therapist. I'm a nurse and a trader, and I understand a lot of this because I've experienced it and I've witnessed other people have a slightly different experience with it. And I really have seen how addiction can destroy lives. And I know that trading is something that is addictive. And so that's kind of, I guess, where this is coming from. And I know that there are resources also. So if anyone needs them, like a quick Google search, your area or what have you, I would pursue them if it's something that you think might help. And there is like no shame in that, like it's, the resources exist because the need exists because it's very real. And so like put that in your mind of like, this wouldn't exist if this wasn't a common enough problem that there was a market for it. And it's important to seek help if help is needed. That's all I'm saying. I mean, the market is a place that can be amazing. But if it's the only place that you actually feel alive, there's danger in that. And there is a risk of chasing those dopamine hits that sometimes are getting fewer and farther in between if you're trading more and more emotionally. Do something of some of these where you're talking to someone or you're doing hard rules in terms of breaks and moving out of the office, off of your charts. I really think that that's very valuable for everyone, but then especially if you find yourself in a situation where you might be in danger. If this is resonating with you and if you're still here at this point in the episode, it doesn't mean that you're broken or that you're wrong or that you are addicted. It could mean that this is just something that is in the back of your mind and that trading is a complex opportunity. There's a ton of fear and greed and opportunity and risk all wrapped into one activity, and it's extremely accessible, click of a mouse, button on your phone. And so I just, I wanted to make this episode because the risks are real. And if not everyone has thought about it or has someone that they can talk to, like I want to tell you that I see you and, trading is amazing. And I think that I want to be a trader for my whole life, but I want to always be careful because life is bigger than any one trade. And the market's not going to love you back. The market is going to do what she's going to do with or without us. And so we have to be the own protectors of our lives and the people around us that love us, their experience as well. And so it doesn't mean that we are not going to be safe, holistic, great traders for all the time, but it's not weak to need boundaries either. I think putting boundaries in place is a part of being a risk manager. And it's not only a stop loss on your trade, it is also having boundaries around how you're protecting your experience in life and your emotions and your neurochemical experience as a trader. And I think we don't have to hit rock bottom to realize that there is a situation that needs to get better and that this is an unsafe kind of spiral and that maybe now is the time to take that break, even though you hate the idea of it. But forcing the break, seeking help, opening up to someone and just having someone have your back in this so that you can try to implement some things to be the most level as you can is really strong. That's a really strong choice to get your healthiest outcomes in life. And I think that is worth the attention in the conversation, and whatever kind of way people are going to think about this, to each their own. But it was important to me to be someone who's not afraid to have these conversations and to say that this can be really hard. And if you feel like you need to be here for this and seek some resources, I am going to list them in the show notes. There's hotlines and websites that are easily accessible and can be even more supportive for you while you're sorting your way through what might be what you need in the situation. But I would, appreciate you guys asking for help, leaving a comment if this resonated with you, reaching out to someone that speaks with you. If you know someone who might actually need to be hearing this just as much as any of us, then share the episode and know that none of us are alone. And I think that this is something that all traders experience to some degree or another and catch themselves at some point or another, depending on their situation and their body and their history and their life to this point and their other habits. It's all going to be variable depending on who you are and where you're at in your experience. But if you're anywhere near a danger point with this, please take it seriously and let's do something with that so that we can be great traders for decades to come, because there is that potential in the market. I mean, the market is not going anywhere. The volatility, if anything, is heating up. And so there's opportunity everywhere. I do think that the market is abundant. And if we can lock in a good system, we can really make profits as traders. But I do best when I'm really cognizant about my whole experience with this. So if this conversation made you think about your relationship with trading and your journey thus far and where you're at and where you want to go and how it would look for you to get there in the most successful manner, I'm really glad that you stayed with me to the end and that this resonated with you to one degree or what have you. And maybe you caught a gem that spoke to you in a way that you think you can, adjust some things in your life to be even more successful. I'm really glad that happened and that you're here with me. And my hope is that we all continue, as I am doing, to take small steps to have our healthiest life, because, I'm not here to stay. I know what happens when our lives are over, because I have no idea. But I know that right now we have this time right now, and to be able to enjoy life outside of just a green P&L is really important to me. And I think will help you not get in a dangerous situation with addiction, because once you start that slippery slope, there's a point where it gets harder and harder to pull out of it and to get back to a healthy balance. It gets more dangerous if not like managed. And so I want everyone to seek resources if they need to before they get in that damaging situation, because our lives are more valuable than a P&L on money. And trading is, we're traders because we want to have all the money and the financial freedom that it can provide. But there is a risk with that when you're just hunting dollar signs and not taking care of yourself. So let's take care of ourselves. Let's take care of each other, and let's grow a positive trading community. And my name is Becky, the host of Market Mamas. And I am here for the hard conversations and the fun conversations and the technical conversations and all the things. So thank you for being here with me. Do like and subscribe and leave a comment if you feel so encouraged to do so. But just take care of yourselves and take care of each other. We just have this period. So let's seek those beautiful winning days and also just a balanced, happy life around that. Take care, everyone.